glory be to Allah in the morning and in the afternoon. La ilaha illallah wahda. There is no God but Allah, the one and only. Sadaqa wa abda. Sadaqa wa abda. That is, he fulfilled his promise. Allah fulfilled his promise. Wa nasara abdahu. And he helped his servant. He helped his servant. Wa azza jundahu. Wa azza jundahu. And he strengthened the forces, gave him the strength. Wa hazabal ahzab al wahda. Allah alone defeated the enemy. Allah alone defeated the enemy. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. Wa la na'budu illa iyyah. And we don't worship any but him alone. Alone. Mukhlasina lahu deen. Walau kariha al-kafirun. We offer him sincere devotion, even though those who disbelieve hate it. Allahumma salli alayhi sayyidina Muhammad. And again, O Allah, we invoke your blessings on our leader Muhammad, our prophet Muhammad. Wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. And on the family of Muhammad. Praise peace upon him. Wa ala ashabi sayyidina Muhammad. And on the companions. Wa ala aswaji sayyidina Muhammad. And on his mates. Wa ala dhuriyati sayyidina Muhammad. And all the descendants of Muhammad. Wa sallama tasliman kathira. And we send abundant praise upon them. So we'll be going through the whole thing, and we're going to turn it over to our dear brother, Dr. Muhammad, to take us through.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Walillahil hamd. Allahu Akbar kabira. Walhamdulillahi kathira. Wa subhanallahi bukratan wa asila. La ilaha illahu وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وأز جنده وحزم الأصحاب وحده لا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولو الخير الكافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى أذرة سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة عسيلا لا إله إلا وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وأز جنده وهزم الأصحاب الوحد لا إله إلا الله ولا نحمد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولو الخير الكافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا لا إله إلا الله وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وهزم جنده وهزم الخير وحده ولا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين وليل الخير كافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا لا إله إلا هو وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وعز جنده وهزم الأسباب وحده لا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولو الخير الكافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا لا إله إلا الله وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وعز جنده وهزم الأصحاب وحده لا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولولا الخير الكافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. ولله الحمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا لا إله إلا هو وحده صدق وحده ونصر عبده وعز جنده وحزم الأحزاب الوحده لا إله إلا الله ولا نعبد إلا إياه مخلصين له الدين ولو الغير الكافرون اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلما تسليما كثيرا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. God is greater, God is greater, God is greater. La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, God is greater, God is greater. Walillahil hamd, and God deserves the praise. Allahu Akbar kabira, God is greatest. Walhamdulillahi kathira, and God deserves the praise in all the abundance. Wa subhanallahi bukratin wa asila, and God deserves the glory early in the morning and late in the afternoon. La ilaha illahu wahda, there is no God except Allah, the one and only. Sadaqa wahda, he fulfilled his promise. Wa nasra abdah, and helped and aid his servant. وَعَزَّ جُنْدَهُ, strengthened his forces, وَحَزَمَ الْأَصْحَابَ وَحْدًا, and alone routed the clans, the entities together. La ilaha illa, there's no God except Allah. وَلَا نَعْبَدُ إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ, him alone deserves all the worship. مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ وَلَا يَلْقَيْرُ الْكَافِرُونَ, offering him sincere devotion, even if those who reject hate it. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Oh Allah, send your blessings and your prayers amongst our teacher and guide Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa ala alihi Sayyidina Muhammad, and the family of our leader and teacher and guide Muhammad the Prophet. Wa ala ashabi Sayyidina Muhammad, and the companions of our leader and guide Muhammad the Prophet. Wa ala azwaji Sayyidina Muhammad, and the wives of our leader and guide Muhammad the Prophet. Wa ala ali dhurati Sayyidina Muhammad, and the descendants of our leader and guide Muhammad the Prophet. Wa salliman taslima kathira, and send abundant praise and peace and blessings upon him. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Walillahil hamd.
Okay. So when Assalamu alaikum. We're going to offer Salatul Eid. We're going to go. Inshallah, we'll do 7 takbirs in the first rakat, 5 takbirs in the second rakat. And then we'll have a brief talk. Salah. Ready? Okay, alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. 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 Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك أولى الهدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر 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 الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونستحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. All praise belongs to Allah, the guardian, evolver, cherisher, sustainer of all the realms of knowledge. We praise Him, we seek His guidance, we seek His assistance, we seek His forgiveness, and we believe in Him. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil within our own selves, and we seek refuge with Allah from the evil consequences of our deeds. We openly bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, that He is alone and without partners. And we openly bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, to whom the Quran was revealed, is His servant and messenger. May the prayers and peace be upon him. We'd like to thank Allah for giving us another opportunity to complete the fast for the month of Ramadan once again. And even with the difficulty of the circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic, He has given us ease, that we've been able to fulfill our obligation to Him. We ask that He strengthen us, purify us, inspire us, motivate us, and protect us on Sirat al-Mustaqim. I'd like to say a few words at this time about preserving life and advancing civilization. Consider something that happened 1,441 years ago. There was an important development. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims of Mecca emigrated away from their homes to the town of Yathrib. And the Muslims were in a very vulnerable situation. They were in an insecure situation. They were facing threats. There were 5 essential needs that they weren't able to attain, that they weren't secure in, that they needed to flourish. And these needs were: 1, the need to worship Allah, to worship God and to fulfill their obligation to Him, basically the deen. That was being encumbered. They were not secure in being able to pray and being able to worship Allah alone. That was the first essential need they could not support in Mecca. Second, their individual physical lives were in danger, right? They faced torture, they faced oppression, all solely because they wanted to do the first thing, worship God alone. And you could say that their health was not in the best state. They were weak. They had been dealing with starvation, right? So the preservation of life was something that was insecure. Third, their family security. There was not the security that you would usually have in family. They were facing fractured circumstances, and their families had come under pressure, and they weren't secure. For example, even with the Prophet's own life, this was at the time, right before emigrating, that he lost his uncle. Right? He lost his uncle, who was his sort of outward family security, his outward protection. And then he also, in that same year, lost his beloved Khadijah. And she was sort of like his inward family security. So he was out that, and outside of them, many of the other community members, many of the other Muslims were facing, again, fractured families, right, because of the antagonism that they were around. So you could say that they didn't have the family life that they should have. They were facing broken families, in a sense. Then the fourth thing that they did not have was the security of intellectual freedom. They were being forced to have to submit to thinking a certain way. I mean, if you remember what happened to Bilal, and Bilal was being forced, or they were trying to force Bilal to utter something that went against his conscience, went against the worship of one God, right? So there was an environment of constricting them. They couldn't think and move in the way that they wanted to in terms of their intellectual freedom. And then fifth, the security of their property. For obvious reasons, right? They didn't have control of their wealth. They had been boycotted. They were very insecure economically. So it was in this environment in Mecca, these 5 essential needs that were being pressured, that were insecure, that they had to deal with. And if you don't have those 5 things, those 5 essential things being preserved and secure, human life cannot flourish, right? We're not just talking about surviving. They were surviving in Mecca, but they could not flourish until they moved to Yathrib, also known as Medina, later named as Medina. And it's interesting if you note that Medina, if you even look at the word, Medina, it's usually translated as city, but Medina means to cultivate and to civilize. Medina was a place where civilization could flourish. And when the Prophet went there and the Muslims, they were able to get security in those 5 things. One, what is one of the first things that the Prophet did? He built a masjid. Right? So now there was this environment where they could have that freedom of worship to worship God alone. The second thing, they were going to they secured their lives and their livelihoods. They made alliances for physical protection of their selves and their community. And in this time, when you look at the revelation that was coming on, there was guidelines and guidance about the protection of life and how to live a flourishing, healthier life. So all of this was coming down during their time in Medina, the place of civilization. And then the family part. The third thing was that then Allah provided guidelines for them to protect their lineage and their family security. They come from a broken, fractured situation to an environment where they could cultivate families, get settled, marry, and there were guidelines about how to protect this, how to protect the family unit. So this is more security. Then the fourth, their intellectual growth, their intellectual freedom. They were in an environment where they could reflect on God's word, where they could teach in a more secure environment, where they were learning verses, where they were teaching others. So learning what Allah had revealed and being free, right, to follow their conscience and to learn that way. And then the fifth thing they were able to do is they were able to then preserve property. They established, it was actually the masjid and the marketplace. Those were the 2 things that they did when they first went into Yathrib in Medina. They established a marketplace and were able to buy and sell, do business. And then what does Allah do? He reveals guidelines for transactions, for commerce, for spending, for business, and for charity. So you go from this fractured environment to this environment where now they can do all of these things. Now their social lives can grow, can flourish. And this is the essence of civilization. Now, civilization has become, over the years, over the decades maybe, a sort of a bad term that we don't like to use. And the reason is that it's been discolored. I mean, honestly, this term in English has been used, it's sort of been a part of colonialization, right? And it was this idea that there were these civilized people and these uncivilized people. But if we look at our tradition, our thinking, that's not how we see this. In fact, you had Islamic thinkers and bright minds and scholars who understood civilization as simply a process of human life. That societies went from being nomadic and nomadic tribes to then settling in a social area, and that there you had the ability to preserve those 5 things. That's what civilization really is. Civilization is really about preserving and protecting those essential human needs. And so if you're able to do that, if you're able to preserve those things, that society flourishes. Families are strengthened, commerce grows, education grows. All of these things happen. Worship sort of can be the bedrock and inspire you to great things. This is civilization. So Al-Islam focuses so much on this civilization. It focuses on the social unit. It focuses on, we understand family life being critical. And it's important to note, if you think about these different towns, Mecca and Medina. You could say Mecca was a town, Mecca was a city, but Mecca was not the model for society. It was not the model for a civilization growing. Mecca was a commerce place. People came together, they were brought together strictly on commerce. But it was a very place that was focused more on individualism, right? It was an individual sort of society that flourished more than these outlying, settled areas where you had more social life. So all of the revelation when they were in Mecca really focused on that individual growth, that individual spirituality. It's what they needed when they were in the environment of Mecca. But that was not enough to advance the human life. It wasn't enough. It was important. It was the bedrock. 13 years in Mecca, building them up with the principles that the Quran had provided. But they could not be fulfilling their potential. They could not get outside of that fractured social environment while they were just in Mecca. So what is the Quran doing for us? The Quran is pointing us to how to deal with threats to our human life, to threats to our civilization, threats to our social advancement. And if you look at the stories of the Quran, sometimes Allah gives us these signs. He talks about societies that perished. the prophets, that warners that came to them. You think about a few. You think about Noah's civilization. The people put other deities before God. And they were very callous to each other. They didn't have sympathy. They were very, even oppressive and very ungrateful. Callous to their own people. What happened? The flood came. They couldn't take, God's revelation came to them, and for them, it couldn't seep in. They disrespected it. And so they were flooded away. Think about the people of another people that disappeared or that were destroyed. The people of Lot, who clearly, when you look, they were involved in activity that threatened or risked family lineage, right? Think again about those things of preserving life. And they were destroyed, right? They rejected the message. They couldn't, they were destroyed. And you think about Moses. Moses went to Pharaoh. And he and his chiefs they were oppressive. They were arrogant, particularly towards the minority groups in their midst. And Pharaoh was arrogant. He rejected the message. And what happened? They were drowned. But if you think about it, Allah is showing that in a society, in an environment, or a civilization that does not uphold those 5 essential needs, it can't prosper. It won't survive. I think that's a message we can take. We have to uphold these needs that every society needs. And also note, when thinking about those stories of Noah, Lot, and Moses, the prophets escaped from the challenges and from that oppression to preserve life, but they didn't escape alone. Those 3 stories, we know that they escaped with their families. So it was the civilization that they were in the midst might have crumbled, didn't make it, but because they were able to preserve their families preserved. It wasn't an individual thing. Moses and his family, Lot and his family, Noah, although we can note that everyone in the family did not always make it. So it wasn't a carte blanche family, right? It showed that there was, depending on where you were, but it was a social deliverance. It was a social exodus, right? It was their families that got them out. And so I'll close with this. Our history as Muslim Americans reflects this same civilizational journey. If we think about our own history in this country. In slavery, think about how many Muslims were taken from Africa. And many of them, right, they had the individual Islam. They had their faith. You had slaves, you had people who knew the Quran, taken through the Middle Passage and put on plantations. But what's the thing to note? Individually, their Islam did not survive, not in a direct way. It could not prosper, it could not flourish in an environment where those social needs, those 5 social needs, were insecure, were vulnerable. So they could not. Think about it. Could they preserve their deen? Well, maybe silently, quietly, a little bit, maybe one generation, maybe some of it could get passed on, but it would be fractured. They could not openly worship, make salah in front of wherever they wanted to. So deen, that was knocked out. Second, preservation of life. What do we have to say there, right? Their lives were not their own. They were on the planet. They were being tortured. They were being beaten. They were being whipped. They could be killed for anything, and they were in the worst of health. You think about even in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, it was worse than in the United States, where people might live only to 30 because of how hard they were working, right, under slavery. The third, preservation of lineage, of family lineage. Need I say more? In slavery, that was the thing that was disrupted, right, the most. They had no control over marriage. They had no control over their lineage, right? They were broken. They were broken families. So that was off the chart, off the board. Preservation of intellect, the fourth thing. They were forced not to read. So we had people who could read, people who read the Quran and could write the Quran, but then in the broader environment of the enslaved Africans, no reading. No way to transmit knowledge, no way to learn. And then, of course, preservation of property. Absolutely, there was none. They had no property. They were themselves property. They were dependent on the owners in society. So even though you might have had Islam in your heart, even though you might have been the best Muslim, even though you might have been praying and fasting, that Islam, it sort of was dormant. It faded away. And I hate to say it because we look with pride that our ancestors, many of them were Muslim, but we have to understand the context. Without that social environment, that Islam faded away. So there was no social presence. So our civilization, what happened? Our society. If we're thinking about what happened with societies that did not support those 5 essential things, then you might wonder, well, what happened in the United States? What happened to our society, our civilization? How come the United States of America was not destroyed? And the answer goes into our evolution and what our society did, what we did in our society. We had warners who pointed to the society that they weren't securing those human needs, those essential needs. And even though those warners often were rejected, over time, generally the society adapted and began to see the ways to preserve those things. So preservation of religion, eventually, that started to flourish. That slaves eventually, it started with the Bible. But there was this impulse, the Abrahamic tradition, even the Christians, there was a schism, and Christians started to say, no, we need to teach them religion. That became something that helped them, right, through their time. Later, the Quran came in the society, and we can talk about that. Equal protection of their lives. Eventually, the society enforced that. You could even say that the Civil War was just that reconciliation, that to bring equality to everyone in America. It was hard fought. People didn't want it, but the society adjusted so that essential need could be supported. Preservation of lineage, family. We were able to then, after slavery, come back. We had strong family rates after slavery. People coming together, people reuniting, right? So we went from broken families and we were able to come with family lineage and people passing down their family line. And preservation of intellect, education. Do we even know the history of the HBCUs? What did we do? We started to teach. Others started to help us. There were people of conscience coming even from the north and even in the south. People were setting up institutions. And eventually, and a lot of this was infused by the Abrahamic tradition. You can't discount it, right? There were good Christian people who said, no, we have to help teach. We have to set up schools and colleges. So the idea of education eventually became expanded for everyone, not only with our HBCUs and our institutions, but then we're able to go to the biggest institutions of the society, right? So it opened up. So that was preserved. And then the preservation of property. We were given the ability to then have our own economic sustenance and to have our own businesses and transactions. A lot of that, we then, even in situations where we face discrimination, we had a do-for-self mentality and we built our Black Wall Street. We built this environment, right? So we were dealing with this stressful environment, but then we took care of the essential need to preserve property and to flourish. So that I would say that's why our society did not perish. But civilization's future is not guaranteed. We can't just rely on that. And the situation right now with the pandemic is just an example of a threat. But we should not panic. We should feel faithful and strong because we have exactly what we need if we think about it. We actually may have the keys to help save our civilization, our society, to preserve. Why? Because we are in our lives, even right here today, we're preserving those things. The deen, to focus on worshiping God alone, we're doing it. That's maintained, pandemic or not, right? Sanctity of life, the Quran gives us that. Our health, the focus on health, our cleanliness, right? There's always been that focus on cleanliness, and with that we should have better health. We have preserving our lineage, the focus on family, right? If we're sticking to that, we can survive anything. And our intellect. If we had a zombie apocalypse, I hate to throw that out, if society went to the place where there was nothing else, no more learning, and it was just very desolate, the fact that we still have the Quran and it teaches us to reflect on science. It teaches us to learn from history, to dig and see what happened to societies and civilizations before. The Quran itself would help us preserve so that our intellects could advance through whatever crisis. And preservation of property, zakat, sadaqah, helping those who are in trouble, understanding the Quran and the importance of fairness in business transactions, spending of wealth. All of these things are supporting the 5 essential needs. So we have, no matter what happens, we have what we need to survive. And I would put out to say that perhaps even this pandemic has shown us that. You think about your worship. I'm saying if you're in a household with multiple Muslims in your home, I'm sure you probably have prayed more in congregation during this shutdown pandemic than you have. You probably, many days, you pray in 5 days with someone else. Where in the regular world, you may not. Everybody's going and coming. Preservation of family, that's become the focus. In this pandemic, we're more focused on protecting and preserving our family. So we understand these are threats. It's a risky situation. But alhamdulillah, Allah, even when we have difficulty, there is relief and there is ease. So though we may have threats and danger in our civilization, if we stay true to God's guidance, we won't perish. We should not perish like people who are ungrateful. We should be able to flourish if we stay true to this message and also be witnesses for humanity. And perhaps that is what we can be in this time of crisis. When everyone feels like they're having an existential threat, they're worried, they have so much anxiety, we can show that no, we can still move on. We can protect this environment. We can protect the social life. We can expand it because we have al-Islam. It allowed civilization to flourish before, and we can be that witness to provide what civilization needs from here in the future. So alhamdulillah, anything which I have said which has been good, all praise belongs to Allah, and any mistakes, anything that was bad, I seek refuge with Allah from that. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah.
Takbir. 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 Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. Eid Mubarak. Alhamdulillah, this is a day of victory. This is a day of victory. And we thank our dear brother. We started this off with the prayer, and we made 12 takbirs. 12 takbirs. And we know 12 represents also completion. 12 months, zodiac, etc. And we broke it down into 7 and 5. And we know that our dear prophet, the prayers of peace upon him, he went through the 7 levels. He went up 7. And when he came down, he established that 5. And 5 includes what our brother spoke about. There's 5 also, 5 senses, 5 pillars, and these 5 essentials for human life. And so Allah gives us something to connect us back with the essence of all human life, dating back to Adam, which is the first level where things start off at. And then we have seen how our brothers showed us how to establish the wholeness of your life, the things you need to establish the wholeness of your life. So we're very grateful on this particular day of Eid, great day. We start off acknowledging Allah and that He is greater than anything and everything, even this pandemic. We forget that Allah is not unmindful of this. We forget that sometimes. And we want to remind everyone that we are here at the Masjid. We've just had an Eid prayer, but we're still closed to the public. So I don't want anyone to think we're open. We're closed to the public. We do have workers and staff here with us today. But we did disqualified as a prayer because we have enough people here to do the actual prayer. And we're grateful to our brother, our dear brother Yahya Fanusi. We thank him for such a wonderful message that connects the life of the Muslim with the life of us as a people in our struggle to see our humanity free here in this country. And we thank Allah that we've been able to establish now. There's nothing stopping us with us to establish those 5 essentials. We have Allah have blessed us. He has freed us. And the night of power has a lot to do with that. The night that takes place in this month right here. You know, every individual has that, and every people has that. An opportunity to come into this enlightenment. You see, this is what the night of power is. It's about the light coming, the light being turned on. And it happens during this month of Ramadan, the 9th month, when the baby comes out of darkness into the light after 9 months. And we thank Allah for blessing us. That's why we don't have to worry about no Iqamah, because the life is standing up now. We want light, not darkness. We have to come into the light. So we thank Allah. And so hopefully you all heard me on that. It come across okay? Alhamdulillah. So I want to give some announcements right now for those who are listening. Again, if you're online right now and you're not able to be online later, you can call in. Some have called in. We have a telephone number you can call in for all events as well. And so today at 12 o'clock, just an hour or so from here now, we're going to be having meals. We're going to have grab-and-go meals. Please come by, pick up a meal. They're for the community. So we don't want those to go. We can't be wasteful. We just come out of Ramadan. Teach us not to be wasteful. So come get your meal. Come get your meal. If you prepare something, still come get your meal. Take it home with you and eat it at another time. But we want to make sure that we distribute the meals. They're for you. They're for the community. This is our celebration. Give us a chance to come by, at least to see you too as you come by and do your grab and go. When you grab your meal, you can also come and grab also, if you have children, their toys. They'll grab and go, grab a toy for your children as well. And just come by, honk the horn, blows. We got the Eid sign up, wave at us. We'll be outside so we can get to see each other. At least we can't gather like we normally do because of the circumstances right now. But we can see each other in passing. And we thank Allah that He has evolved the scientific mind that have caused us to come into technology, that wherever you are around the world now, you're still able to hear, see, and respond to those you love. You can still bring them close to you due to technology. So we thank Allah for the technology we have right now. It's helping us to connect with you. So let me get a phone number for those who are just online right now. You may not be able to have online later. Let me give you the times. Tomorrow, I gave you the events taking place today. And tomorrow, if somebody can bring me that phone number, let me go over the rest of the. Bring me the phone number that some are already on. We have a dynamic lineup, a music fest tomorrow from 7 to 9. And again, you'll be able to get it on Facebook, YouTube, and also you can call in to listen. Dynamic Muslim entertainers. We're just so pleased with those who have accepted to entertain us, to help us enjoy the festivities of this Eid. It's reoccurring. Comes around 12 months. That's 12 again. Comes around every 12 months to reconnect us to this. And then on Tuesday, there's going to be a youth talent show for the youth on Tuesday. That's going to take place from 5 to 6. So again, if you can't see it, if you just happen to be away from your computer, or if you don't have that kind of software on your telephones, you can just call in and listen. Listen to the children. Listen to the youth. So we thank Almighty God that we have some things lined up. In the midst of the pandemic, life still goes on. And we're still finding ways to be involved and come together and be able to share the beauty of the life that Allah Ta'ala has given us in this diversity, to get our children involved and have each other involved, and to be able to understand the culture expression. We have culture expression that we'll be having next 2 days. So again, that's 7 to 9 on Monday, 7 to 9 on Monday, and 5 to 6 on Tuesday. So on the web, do we have a telephone number for those? If they don't have it, I want to get it. But I know some are online right now, but just in case you're not, you can call in, and so I want to make sure we just give you that telephone number. I know some are listening via the telephone now. We have a lot of our seniors who are not, they don't have the kind of technology. And so we thank Allah. In fact, this is the first time we've been able to connect now with the telephone. We can just call in. Say it again. 518 351 9717. One more time. 518 351 9717. So write that if you hopefully you got that. So again, if you're away from your computer, you can't get online to the Facebook or to YouTube, just call on the phone and continue to participate in these celebrations, these commemorations of something wonderful that Allah Ta'ala has given us, even in the midst of a pandemic. We're able to observe. We were able to observe this month of Ramadan. This month of Ramadan. We've been reset. We've all been reset. Not just Muslims, but the world has been reset. An opportunity for everybody. And then Ramadan was put right in the middle of this. And the numbers are staggering. And look what Allah has done. Look at the help Allah Ta'ala has given to the whole world. He shut the world down and then put Ramadan right in the middle of that. And you have over a billion, over 1.7 billion around the world engaged in some form of fashion in this fast. You know that's a great help for the world. We're seeing something that we haven't never seen before in history, where the religious communities are coming together. They've all been shut down. They've never been all shut down before. This is the first time in human history that all of the faiths have been shut down. And Allah is bringing them together. And they're all coming together, not like they have been in past history, where they were just concerned about their own persuasion, but they're all concerned about the betterment of human life. And that's what Ramadan takes us back to. Human life in its essence. Takes us back to the womb, how we come here from Allah Ta'ala. Pure, clean, innocent, healthy, whole, no criminals, no murderers. None of that comes here. But in the world, it calls us to go off. We come here right. And we know a couple of months we're going to be going on the Hajj. But we won't be going because it'll still be shut down. But we know what it means. When you go on the Hajj, you got to go around. That's to go back. Because we came right. And then we went wrong. So we got to go there to get back. Again, we go back 7. That's 7 again, right? We go back. And it goes back to Adam to get us back to that life. So Allah gives us, this is help. No one can say they haven't gotten help from the Creator. He always gives humanity help. He loves us. Allah, He created us. He loves us. And He always He's not a God waiting and looking to see who He can destroy or bring His wrath upon. No, He's waiting for us to go right. So He can bless us. His mercy overrides His wrath. And this month is about mercy. It's connected with the womb, the 9, and because the first 10 is about mercy. But that's because the human life is in the womb, and the womb is connected to mercy. The Arham in plural, and Rahim singular. Same word connected with mercy to let us know this is what this is about. You know, this is the first mercy for all humanity, the life. And our brother spoke about that life. And we just thank Allah again for Him connecting the talk with the wholeness of human life, and then also with our experience as a people in human history that have been degraded the most. No people have been degraded more. And so that should tell us, when we look in Scripture, and we see people whose lives have been degraded, that we read about, under Moses, etc., and other people that we see. If we can look at that and look at their circumstances, and now we can acknowledge that our circumstances have been worse, that we have to begin to see our circumstances in the context of divine destiny. Don't see yourself outside of that. See yourself in that context as well. And if we see ourselves in the context of divine destiny, that means we'll be able to do more with our life. We won't hurt ourselves. We won't harm ourselves. We won't degrade our own self. And that's what most of the time we do. We hurt ourselves. But we have to see what Allah have invested in us. And this month of Ramadan has helped us to reflect on the wholeness of our life as human beings. And some have already said that this has been their most peaceful Ramadan. I mean, a lot of the movement's been shut down. You had time to really to think. It's about reflecting. The moon is a reflector. It's a reflector. It don't have no light of its own. It reflects light. So as the moon goes through the cycle, your mind, you're supposed to be able to reflect on what's coming from Allah as you're reading this month that we just had. And then now Allah gives us, we can continue by fasting 6 more days. Once we get past the year days, we can fast 6 more days, and it'll be as if we fasted for the whole year, because each day is worth 10. Each day is worth 10. So we just did 30 days, so that's 300 days. So we do 6 more times 10, that's 360 days. So Allah Ta'ala gives us credit for having fasted a whole year. And that's valuable. So we hope that you seize the help. That's help. Some may not. It's optional. But again, it's just help from Allah to us. So we've all have been increased if you participated. Now, if you couldn't participate because of your health situation, and you wanted to fast but you could not fast, What did Allah say? See, this is so beautiful. He said you get credit for the intentions. Isn't that wonderful? You're a blessing because you couldn't because of your health situation. You could not fast. But Allah know your desire. And Allah know that if you could, you would. That's your intention. So you get the reward. You get the reward of the fast. That's wonderful. That's mercy, isn't it? That's beautiful. So this is a great day. And all the phases, we look at the 10 phases, from mercy to forgiveness and then being free from the fires of sin. Again, that's to tell us that if we want to be free from fires of sin, that we have to first have Allah's forgiveness. You can't be free from the fires of sin. And that means if you sin, that means you have to repent, right? Huh? And so you can't be free, so you have to be forgiven, right? But you won't be forgiven until you first receive Allah's mercy. And that's what the order tells us. But it's also to tell us that that's how we have to be. That we have to be forgiving. We have to be merciful. You see? Or we can't free ourselves. We can't free ourselves. If we're not forgiven, we want to be forgiven, but we're not forgiving, we can't free ourselves. We'll be among those who are held up. We think we did everything right, but we haven't freed ourselves because we haven't forgiven our brother and our sister. So we'll wait. We think we're going to make it in because we did all the rituals, but we haven't done the excellent things of life. Like our prophet said, when you bring people together, that's more valuable than all the rituals. Just bringing people together. So come together. Let go of you got to let it go in order for you to have to complete your fast. You have to let the stuff go that you have about somebody. Let it go so you can free yourself. It's about you freeing yourself. You getting held up because they're not going to be held up because of how you feel about them. You holding yourself up. It's kind of like what Mandela said. You hating somebody, not forgiving them. That's like you drinking poison and expecting them to die. Huh? Yeah, no. So call, send your text, telephone, whatever. You know that you're wrong or you got issues. You need go do it. It'll help you. We want to be free. That's a weight. That's a weight that'll hold you up. You can't move forward. It'll hold you up. You don't see it. It's an abstract weight that's on you. You see, and when you least expect it, if you haven't done it, you find yourself held up at trying to make it in, and you can't go because you have to be reminded now that you haven't reconciled. You haven't reconciled. So that's very important. So this is a day that we want to have unity with all human life, all human beings. We want to be free. We want to have complete victory. Complete victory. We've had the victory of we won. We've been able to restrain ourselves. Increase our consciousness. We're more conscious of Allah than ever before. We've been looking at the world and the circumstances in the world that Allah have been, and those who are conscious, they're able to see. Because again, we've been spending time with many people of faith, and they're seeing that this is a communication. They're seeing it's a communication. They can't stop it. Man can't stop it. I mean, we got all these different conspiracies about man starting something, but we got to understand, there can't nobody do anything unless Allah permits it. You have to understand, Allah, we read in our chant, Allah lets us know that if you think that you won something, He said He did that. He reminds us, He said He alone defeated the enemy. He alone. So sometimes we think we did something. You can't do nothing without Allah's help. He reminds us. So Allah allowed this. He permitted this. And He is the one, either He'll cause it to just die out, or He'll cause there to be a cure. Those are the two ways, right? He controls that. We don't control that. Allah controls that. And we are seeing that. And He's given us a sign. People, I mean, look, already it's up to how many million now? It's just in America affected is what, 5.1 million worldwide right now. That's affected. And that's from one of our youth that's here with his parent that's going to be helping out. And so that are affected with this. And hundreds, they're gone. Hundreds of thousands are already gone. They've just been wiped out. They're wiped out. And that's a sign. Allah, He said if He want to wipe you out, He can wipe you out. That's a sign He can wipe us out. And it's in a short period of time. A very short period of time that this has happened. That has just went across the whole globe in a very short period of time. And so we have to look at that. It's time for us to, as they say, get right with God, right? Get right with God. And this month has given the whole world an opportunity to see us. We're getting congratulations and from the Congress. I wanted to pull up one of the greetings that we were sent from one of the congressional leaders. I couldn't pull it up. I was going to share that. They wanted us to share it with you. Maybe we'll put it out later once I get it. So from all around the world, we got leaders from around the world congratulating us as well. So it's not something that the world is not unmindful of. That Muslims around the world are fasting. They are restraining themselves in the midst of a mandatory fast by Allah. He's calls people to fast from things, because fast is not just from food and drink. There are different types of fast. You know, some have fast now. They couldn't go to clubs. They all these different things that he stopped. He forced them to fast from certain things. You see, and so in the midst of this, it just says it's time to reflect on what is more important. What is more important, and that is human life. The excellence of not just human life, but the excellence of that human life. That this month takes us back to this month of Ramadan. So we're grateful again. I want to thank our dear brother and remind everyone that in about an hour or so, less than an hour now, we'll be giving out food and toys, and then enjoy your day. Make connections, get online, get on Zoom, whatever, with your family that we normally will be able to see. Pray for those who passed. You can't go visit the graves, maybe. If you can't, pray for them. Pray for them. If your mother or your father have gone, do a special prayer for them. You should pray for them every day. If you're a child and your mother and father have passed, pray for them every day. You should pray for them every day, because that reaches them. The soul doesn't die, we know, and it reaches them. It's kind of like you're sleeping in certain things. You might, in your dream, might be hearing something, but you in your dream, that enters into your dream. Or somebody might be cooking something, but you're dreaming and you might, something pleasant. It's like that. That's how it reaches them. Because, you know, sleep is the brother to death, right? And so now it's in another state. It just can't affect the physical. Like when you're dreaming, you know, depending on how deep you are, you don't have no control. Sometimes people try to wake up, they can't. They need to try to scrum anything, get somebody to wake them up. If they're having a bad dream, they want somebody to wake them up. But because they lost, they don't have no control. And Allah just a sign from Allah too. That's just a sign. You know, when the time comes, it's gone. You'll be disconnected. You know, you're going to want to come back, and it's too late. If it's for some, it's too late. If they want it, after they see the penalty, the reality of the penalty, you know, because the ones who are pleasant, they'll be grateful. And they'll know. In fact, the ones who, they're going to know because Allah sends something to those who are transitioning way before to let them know. That's why some say it's time to go. They got to go get everybody. Allah communicate. They don't say nothing. They're not supposed to say anything. They're just supposed to accept and then make the transition and do. And because that's a mercy too, because some don't have time. Some don't have time to be notified that, okay, get your family together. Let them know. I need to get so-and-so here. I got to go. You know. So make amends. Don't decrease. You've been increased. Everybody has been increased. So don't start decreasing. That means don't start going back to those habits. Allah give you 30. It takes 30 days to get over a habit. 30 days. So we have Ramadan. This is a help. You know, people try all the time to start habits, and they can't get past 2 weeks. Most of them. Some of them not even a week. But the 30 days, that means some things have changed. Don't start going back. Don't start going back. That's why He gave you the 6 days again to help you start establishing things. You know, if you don't go back, I mean, you couldn't eat for so much during the month of Ramadan. Don't go back to piling on your plates. Don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. Allah gave you all this help, and you be waiting for Ramadan. I'm glad Ramadan is here, and here you get the help, and then all of a sudden now you're going to try to go back to the bad habits, the things that cause you the problems. Don't do that. Don't go back. Get the smaller plates now, because you're going to eat more now. So get the smaller plates now. You may have got a bigger plate, maybe. If you did that, you shouldn't, because again, you're supposed to be eating light anyway. You know, I had to be checking myself too. I said, I got to tell my wife, I got to get it right. I can't be doing this. And so all of us, again, accept the help that you've gotten. Don't go back. Build upon that help. Build upon that help. Your family should be closer. Now you should pray more. You know, continue those things. Family pray together, stay together. That came in the previous scriptures, right? And then Allah just gave us that as an establishment. We established the prayer, right? In the previous scriptures, say the family that prays together stays together, but it wasn't established until Muhammad the Prophet, praise peace upon him. No salat until Muhammad the Prophet, praise peace upon him. We had sajda, but no salat. So He established that, and that's strong for us, and the greater blessings are in the numbers. And so we thank Allah again that we can't be together physically, but technology brings us together. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I know many of you have, like me, have brought my families together on cyberspace. We've been able to come together and do things. It's so wonderful to be able to see them. I mean, it was exciting. And we were able to do things and do games and just do things together, just on cyberspace. So Allah knew. He didn't have to wait for this. He already knew. He don't have to wait for anything. He already knows because he's Allah. We have to wait for these things, but he knows. And again, he let us know it's not about the rituals. Some people get strung up on the rituals, but we got to look at it's bigger than the rituals. Just information. If we can get the meaning and employ the meaning within the technology, then we can progress. We can progress. But if you just focus on rituals, so that's why Allah cut the rituals out. He cut the rituals out because you say, we right before Ramadan, He gives us the ayat 177 that say righteousness is not if you turn your face to the east or west. That's basically saying it ain't in the rituals, and that's what we do, right? He says it's not in the rituals. No, but he said no, it's about caring for people. He goes into a dynamic things about faith and then actions. That's what it's about. So if you implement that, so you got different people doing different rules, that kind of thing about what you can and can't do. But we have the technology that gets us close, and we can hear each other and participate via the technology because of the circumstances, right? And of course, when these circumstances, like Allah said, when you free and things back to normal, then you do it the way I taught you, right? That's what He told him, right? Pray, standing, lying down, sitting down, on your horse, whatever the situation is, you do that the best way you can. He said, when you're free from all of that, now you go back because I want to make sure that the ritual that has the knowledge stays there in case you get away again. You can look back in that and get the information in terms of what I need for you to progress human life. So with that, I want to say to everyone, Eid Mubarak and Assalamu Alaikum.